بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Today, inshallah, we'll start short. Right. So it is about quadratic functions. You know what is quadratic means, and you know what is function means. So this is a quadratic function. We will see together how to sketch the graph of such functions and how to find the maximum and the minimum values. First of all, you should know that the quadratic function, it is a function, it is a polynomial of degree 2. The general form of such function is this. So it is about f of x equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. A is not 0. Of course, if a is 0, it will not be quadratic. It will be linear. It will be of first degree. And this is the polynomial of degree n, if you want to remember it from section B5. Do you know that all the all the quadratic functions are coming from the mother function of all of them? What is it? X squared. So any quadratic function, it will be just kind of transformations for x squared, shifting up and down, right and left, reflection, and so on. X squared, it is special case from here. When a is what? When a is 1, b is 0, c is what? 0. So it is special case. And you know that the graph of x squared is what? Is a parabola like this. So now all the quadratic functions will have this graph, but just shifted up or down, reflected, and so on. So we have this amazing fact. The graph of any quadratic function is what? Is a parabola. And we will focus, of course, on the parabolas only, that we have them here, opens up or what? Or down. Here we are. Why we don't have here the parabolas? We will not talk about the parabolas that opens right and left. They are not functions. We are talking just about functions here. So they can be obtained from the graph of x squared by transformations given in 2.6, if you remember. Now, whenever you have a parabola, you have a line at the middle here called the axis of the parabola. Here it is. The axis of the symmetry. The parabolas are symmetric with respect to this line. We call it the axis of the parabola, or the axis of the symmetry of the parabola. And it will be vertical line in our case. Always its equation will be x equals to whatever you have here. What is the coordinate? If you have here a and b, it will be x equals to a, for instance. This point, the intersection point between the parabola and the axis of symmetry, it is called vertex. It is like the head of the parabola. The quadratic function in the general form, it is this one. It can be expressed in the standard form, and this is the most form that we need to work with. This standard form is this: a, which is the coefficient of x squared, multiplied by x minus h all squared plus k. This form can be obtained from the general form by completing The square. The graph of any parabola, of any quadratic function is a parabola. The vertex will be h and k. This h and this k, they are the vertex, the coordinates of the vertex. And the parabola will open upward. It opens upward if a is positive, like x squared, if you remember. This opens up. The coefficient here is positive. Y equal negative x squared. It opens down because a is negative. If the coefficient of x squared is negative, it will open down. Let's take an example. Let f of x be 2x squared minus 12x plus 13. Express it in the standard form. What to do to express this in the standard form? We will complete the square. How to complete the square now here? So let's follow what you are saying. You are saying that divide by what? By 2. Who said that? Okay, keep that in mind. F of x equals to 2. So this is what will happen. We will have x squared minus 6x plus 13 over 2. Then let's go, let's do what you are suggesting now and see what will. Let's continue. It is not wrong. What we are doing is not wrong, but you will see that it is useless. Let's continue. Continue, then what you will do? Now you can complete the square. Now what you will do? It will be x squared minus 6x. We will add what? 9 sides, right? Then what you will have here? F of x over 2 plus 5 over 2, right? It will be 18 minus 13, 5 over 2, equals to what? X minus 3 all squared. Are we done? Look what we will do. We will move, then multiply by 2. So why I'm redoing what I did before? I multiplied, I divide by 2. Now I'm multiplying by what? By 2. This is what I said, that it is not practical. By the way, at the end you got what you want. This is, of course, if you compare it, it is a times x minus h all squared plus k. So you can consider here that h is what? 3 and k is what? Negative. A is clear from the beginning. A is what? It is 2. But this is not the right way or the best way to do that. To complete the square, don't do this, please. Do not do this. It will be longer and it is not practical. Here you divide it by 2, here you will multiply by 2, and you add some number, you will subtract it now. So I don't advise you to do this. What I advise you to do
one side. Work only on one side.
Is this. You don't have, by the way, Shabab, you have here, you were having f. Now this is the half of f. It is another function, not the original function. This is f over 2 minus 13. This is another function, not your original function. You lost your function. It was there alone on one side. You lost it. And after that, you tried to look for it again and obtain it again. So you are doing the opposite what you did at the beginning. So the best way is to work on one side. Forget about this. This is f of x. It is fixed. It is there. This is f of x equals 2. Now, instead of dividing by 2, take 2 as a common between the first two terms. Now, complete the square here inside. So what you will do, the coefficient of x is negative 6. The half of it is negative 3. Square it. So what you will do, you will have x squared minus 6x. You will add what? You will add 0, but not any 0. You will add a hero 0. You will add 9 plus 9 minus 9. This is all inside the brackets. This is equivalent to adding 9 for both sides, okay? What we did there. Now, what you have here, it is 2 multiplied by x minus 3 all squared. This is negative 9 multiplied by 2, it will be negative 18 plus 13, which will give, of course, at the end what we want. Here we are. This is, we add 9. Also, we subtract 9 multiplied by 2. Here it is. Simplify. That's it. Now, this or this? So do not do this. It is clear to do this one. What we did here, we just use, you thought like it is an equation. When you have the right-hand side equal to 0, you don't have a function. You have quadratic equation. You have both sides. Both sides are yours. Do whatever you want to them. But here, the left-hand side is reserved for f. And you can play with the expression on the right-hand side. Now, if you compare this, ya shabab, with the standard form, you can see clearly that h is 3 and k is what? -5, not 5. Be careful, because you have in the standard form plus k, and this is -5. So the vertex h and k. This is the vertex. He asks about the vertex here. The x-intercept and the y-intercept. How to find, which one is easier to find? The y-intercept. What is it? The y-intercept, it is f at 0. What is it, f at 0? From the beginning. 13. It is 0 plus 0 plus 13. We can generalize this, that for any quadratic function, the y-intercept will be equals to c. It will be c. For the x-intercept, how to find the x-intercept? The function, the whole function equal to 0, y equal to 0. So we will put y equals to 0. Now we have two options. What do you think? Which option is better? I have this form, the general form, and I have this form, the standard form. Which one I will put equal to 0? You have to be smart, by the way. Sometimes this one, sometimes this one. It depends on the function that you have. The first one, it is easy. Use the general one if you can factor. This is my advice. Use the first one if you can factor. Use the standard form if you cannot factor. Like here, you cannot factor, so you have to use what? The quadratic formula if you want to solve it. I think this is what has been done here. He used the quadratic formula to find x. Not factoring, quadratic formula. The second one is easier, and we will see why it is the second one. Who remember what was the f of x in the standard form? F of x, it was 2, x minus 3, all to the power 2 minus, right?
Yes.
Now, we will put it equals to what?
0.
To 0. So what we will do, we will solve it, and you will find that you will get the same answer, but in a faster way. So what we will do, we will say x minus 3 to the power 2. We will add 5 for both sides, then divide by what?
0.
So it will be 5 over. You will take the square root of both sides. So x minus 3 will be positive or negative. The square root of 5 over the square root of 2. You will add 3 for both sides. So it will be 3 plus or minus. You will rationalize. You will get here 2. And here is square root of what? Here it is. It is easier, I think, and faster. Now, I think he asks about the x-intercepts. What are the x-intercepts now? You have two x-intercepts. 3 plus square root of 10 over 2. And 3 minus square root of 10 over 2. Both of them are what? Positive, right? Irrational number and positive. You can approximate them if you want to sketch the graph, and just roughly speaking, we can, of course, sketch the graph. We can say like this is like what? Square root of 10, it is 3 point something, divided by 2, let's say 1.5 or 1.6, like that. Plus 3, this will be 4.5, this will be 1.5, something like this. Here it is approximately. So now we have the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, the vertex. By the way, even if you just know the vertex from here, let me go back. We can roughly sketch the graph here. Why? Because I know what is the vertex. The vertex is 3 and negative 5. Here we are. I know that this parabola opens up or down? Up, because the coefficient of x squared is positive. So it is like this. Just if you want to be more accurate, you need to find what is this, and what is also the y-intercept here. And this is what we did. We did find the y-intercept and the x-intercept, and we can sketch the graph. But there is another way also for sketching the graph. What is my function? It is x minus 3 all squared minus 5. So you can start with what? With x squared. Then what? Shifting 3 units to the right, then vertically stretch it by what?
2.
By 2, then shifting down 5 units. And this is what you will get at the end. Of course, it is not necessary because here you have the vertex, you know it opens up or down. It will be easier to use the vertex and the A if it opens up or down. Just this is like another way to think about it. They may ask you about the domain and the range. What is the domain of this function? Like any polynomial, it is all the real numbers. The range. So we can generalize this, by the way. If the parabola opens up, the range will be from where to where? From k close to infinity. If it opens down, it will be from negative infinity. We will mention this in the next slides. Also, you can know where it is increasing, where it is decreasing. It is increasing from where to where? From h to infinity, from 3 to infinity. It is increasing, decreasing from negative infinity to h to 3. Here it is. If you have the standard form, then you know if it has a maximum or minimum from the coefficient of x squared. If a is positive, then the minimum there is a minimum value, and if a is negative, there is a maximum value. The question is, what is this minimum and what is this maximum? The minimum here, it is what? The smallest value that the function can have. It is k, and here the maximum. So it occurs, by the way, where it occurs, the maximum and the minimum, they occur at what? At x equals to h. And what is the value? It is k. What is the relationship between h and k? When you have h and k, they are the coordinates of the vertex. So mathematically, this means what?
The vertex of the parabola is
wherever you have x and y, a point on the graph of a function. What is the relationship between x and y? This is a point on the graph of a function. Y equals f of x, ya Muhammad. You're right. So this y here, it is in fact x and f of x. So this k is what? It is f at. Look here. If you put instead of x h, what will happen? This will be 0. This will be 0, and what you will get? F at h, it is what? K. So if you know h, if you know what is h, you can know what is k. Just substitute by h in the function. Okay, let me emphasize on the minimum when it opens up, maximum when it opens down. The maximum is the value of f, the value of the function, the value of y. Where it happens, where it occurs, at the value of x, at h. Here what you mentioned in the previous slide, that the range will be from k close to infinity in the case of a is negative, if a is positive. If a is negative, it will be from negative infinity to k. Let's solve this. Express it in the standard form. What we will do? By the way, there is another way. Instead of completing the square, I will tell you about it next slide. You can write it in the standard form without completing square. We will see how to do that by completing, of course, the square in general, and then use the formula, the vertex formula. Okay, now what we will do, we will take negative as a common factor. We will not multiply both sides by negative because we will have another function in that case. So we will take negative as a common factor between the x terms. Then we will complete the square for what? For x. So what we will do, we will add, no, we will add 4 and subtract negative 4. So this is the 4 that we add, and the one that we subtract, we multiply it by this negative. Here it is. So now this will be x minus a half, all squared, and this will be 2 plus 1 over 4. It is 9 over 4. Now comparing this with the standard form, this means that h is a half and k is 9 over 4. Clearly, the graph of this function, because he asked about sketching the graph. The graph opens up or down?
Down.
Yeah.
Down. And the vertex will be at half, and let me sketch the graph. This is a half. This is 9/4. And the vertex is here. It opens what? Down, something like this. Okay. Now, if you want to sketch the graph in an exact way, you need to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And how to do that? Is it better for the y-intercept? It is clear. What is it?
2.
So at least now we know that the y-intercept is at 2. So the graph will be like 9/4. It is like 2 point something. So it is very close from here. The vertex is here. Here we are. So this is a half. This is 9/4. Good. So this is 2. Now for the x-intercepts, we have here 2 x-intercepts. How to find the x-intercepts? We will put y equals to 0. This equals to 0 or this equals to 0. Which one is you prefer? The first one is easier because you can what? You can factor, multiply both sides by negative. Then it will be x minus 2 times x plus 1. So it is 2 and negative. So this is -1. This is 2. You can also obtain it from here, but I think you need to work more here. But it is not, of course, difficult. Yes.
If we find one x-intercept, we can shift it
Right.
the same way the other.
You are right. Good point.
Do it after one.
From where this is coming? This is coming from the symmetry.
Okay.
Because it is symmetric, the distance from here to here, it is the same distance from here to here. So if this is the x-axis, if you have it from here, the distance, let's say here, you know that this is 2 and this is a half. So what is the distance from 2 to a half? 3/2. Go also here to the left, 3/2, and you will get the next x-intercept. Right. Excellent. Now we sketch the graph, and this is the graph in a better, of course, way. The maximum, what is the maximum? The higher or the bigger value of the function, it is 9/4. It is k. This is the higher, the larger. And it occurs at a half. It happens at a half. It is the value of the function at h.
So the maximum and minimum related to
It happens at the vertex. Always the maximum or the minimum happens at the vertex. It is f at h, which is k. Got it, ya Hassan? Now, what I told you before, that you don't need to complete the square, especially if you don't like it, if you are afraid from doing mistake when you complete the square. Let's complete the square once for the general form and see what we will have. So this is the general form, a x squared plus bx plus c. If you complete the square, what you will do, you will take a as a common factor between the first two terms. Then you will have b over a. What is the coefficient of x? B over a. The half of it, b over 2a. Square it. Now you will add b squared over 4 squared, and you will subtract it, multiplied by a. Here it is. Now here we have what? Perfect square. It will be x plus b over 2a all squared. And this is, of course, c minus b squared. Compare this with the standard form. Compare with this with a, x minus h all squared plus k. What is h? No. Negative. It is negative b over 2a. What is k? By the way, you don't know, you don't need to memorize k, because if you have h, you can find k. How? What is k? If you have h, it is f at h. So you can use this for k to find it, or you can use this one. What we conclude from this, Shabab, if you have the original equation, if the function, this function is given for you, and you want to write it in the standard form, all what you need to do is what? Find h, which is negative b over 2a. Put it here. And then find k. K, you can find it by two methods. You can find it by f as f of h, or as c minus b squared over 4a. Now, there is an interesting way to memorize this, by the way. It is not a formal way, but I have noticed that You can relate this to something you already know about the quadratic. Not in that way exactly. Do you remember the formula, the quadratic formula? What is this? This is h. What you have here will remind you about k. K is what? C minus b squared over 4a. The same component. Of course, it is not a formal way, it is informal, but it is just the same component. So the same components to remind you about k. But again, you need to memorize only h. If you have it, you will have k. Okay? Let's apply this for some examples, but before that, let's summarize what we did. Now, the maximum or minimum of the quadratic function, it occurs at x equals to h, which is negative b over 2a. If a is positive, the minimum is the value of the function at h. If at h equals to k. And if a is negative, we have a maximum value of the function, and it occurs at h, which will be c minus b squared over 4a. Let's apply this for this example. Consider this quadratic function. Express it in the standard form. Are you going to complete the square? You can. Why not? But no need, because we did complete the square for the general form, and we obtained at the end, this will be what? This will be 5 times x minus h all squared plus k. Is that right?
Yes.
A is 5, clear. Now, just I need to know what is what? What is h? What is it? Negative b over 2a. So it will be negative. Let's write it, negative 8 over a. And you need to write here, what is a? What is b? What is c? Now, this will be equals to what? Negative b, negative 30. Don't forget the negative sign. Multiply by 2. So it will be negative by negative positive. 30 over 10 is what? So you have h. Now k, for k, you can do it in two ways. You can use c minus b squared over 4a, and I don't advise you to use this because it is easier to use f at what? At 3. It is f at h. This is what is k is, and of course you will substitute by 3. The details are here. Look. You have h, you have k, you have now everything. You know that it opens up or down? It opens up, and the vertex is 3 and what? And 4. What you can conclude from this, if the vertex is 3 and 4, and it opens up, what is the maximum? What is the y-intercept, by the way? 49. What we can say about this graph? It has no. What is that? What does that mean? It has no real zeros. It has no real zeros. Exactly. No x-intercepts means no real zeros. It is always positive above the x-axis. I mentioned this concept in section 1.7, if you remember. Yes, exactly. When we revised for the major exam. Okay. What else? The minimum. The minimum is 4, the value of k. Find the maximum and the minimum. No need to sketch the graph or do anything. Just find the minimum and maximum. In the first one, minimum or maximum? Minimum. What is the minimum?
Not 1.
You need to find h. Now, the minimum will be k, which is f at what? The question is, what is h? H, it is what? Negative b over 2a. So you need to find it first. What is it? Now go back and substitute by what? By negative 2. Negative 4. So the minimum of this one is negative 4 of this function. For the next one, you will do the same. You will find h, x, which is h. This is h, by the way, which is negative b over 2a, which is 1. You will go back, substitute, you will get k. This is k. This is the maximum. This is section 3.1. The summary is here. What are the most important concepts related to the quadratic functions? The graph of any quadratic function is what? Is a parabola. Also, it can be obtained from the mother function, from x squared, by shifting and reflecting by the transformations that we have studied in 2.6. The range up or down according to a sign. The vertex. Oh, I didn't focus more about the x-axis. You need to pay attention for this. What is the axis always? X equals to h. It is a vertical line. What else? H. What is h? And the minimum and the maximum. As any polynomial, of course, unless it is restricted for some reasons. These are some exercises for you to practice. I will not go over them. I will leave them for you to practice. There are some interesting also exercises from your textbook, and let's go to the recitation exercises. I think the first one is ready. You can solve it easily. Look, for the quadratic function, find the axis of symmetry, vertex, domain, range, maximum, minimum, and so on. I think, Shabab, for this one, it is clear because you have it in the standard. So you know what is A. You know what is H. You know what is K. So if you have these, you have everything, right? So I will skip this and I will leave it for you to practice. And I will ask you kindly to solve this. For this quadratic function, find the axis of symmetry, vertex, domain, range, minimum, maximum, and so on. During that, I will take the attendance and pause the recording. What you should do first to find the axis of symmetry, the vertex. So you are not going to complete the square? No need. You don't need to complete the square. You can complete the square, why not? But it is not necessary. Just you need to write it in the standard form. So you just need to write it as A. Let me write it. This is what the form that you want. Now, A is given. A is 2 over 3. Now you need to find what is H, what is K. What is H? Who obtain H? H, it is negative B over 2A. Negative B. What is B? Negative 8 over 3 over 2 times A. A is 2 over 3. Simplify. Negative by negative, it will be positive. 8. This 3 will be 3. It will be 8 over 4. It will be 2. So you can now answer the first part, the axis of symmetry. What is the axis of symmetry? X equals to 2. It is a vertical line. Be careful. X equals to 2. Now, can you answer part B? What is the vertex? It will be H and K. You have H. How to find K? You can use C minus B squared over 4A, or it is F at H, which is F at 2. So what it will be? 2 over 3 x squared, which is what? 4. So this will be 8. It will be 8 over 3 minus 2 multiplied by 8. It will be 16 over 3 plus 5 over 3. What is that? This is negative 3 over 3. This is negative 1. So the vertex is 2 and the negative 1. Domain, all the real numbers. Range, what? -1, not 1.
One close.
It opens up or down? It opens up because this is positive, so it will opens up. So there is a minimum, no maximum. The minimum will be the value of the function at h, which is k. It is -1. So the range will be from -1 close to infinity. The minimum will be f at 2, which is -1. The x-intercept and the y-intercept, which is easier to be found first? The y-intercept, what is it? 5/3. The x-intercepts, how to find them? How to find which one is better to use? You have now two ways. You can use the original equation. You can use this one, solve it, put it equals to 0 and solve it, or use the standard form that we obtained. It is x minus 2 all squared plus k, which is -1, right? So you can now put this equals to 0, solve this or this. Which one is easier for you?
Second one.
The second one. Clearly, it is much easier. So let's solve it together. What we will get? We will get x minus 2 all squared equals to what? 3/2, right? Take the square root of both sides. It will be positive or negative square root of 3 over square root of 2. Add 2 for both sides and rationalize. It will be square root of 6. So we have now 2 x-intercepts. By the way, I forgot to mention this. For any parabola, there are only 3 possibilities for the x-intercepts. What they are? I'm talking about the x-intercepts. So if you have, let's draw it here. This is the x-axis. The x-intercepts, we may have 2 like this. If it opens up or down, we may have 2, and this is the maximum number of x-intercepts, or maybe 1. And in this case, if we have only 1, what will happen? It will be the vertex. The x-intercept will be the vertex. The third case is what? No, it means that it is always above or always below. So we may have 2 or 1 or none. There is no fourth case or fourth. Yes. Yes, you can know that. I'm talking about now the parabolas that they are functions. When they are opens up and down, not for the in general. Excellent. So we have 2 x-intercepts now. 2 plus, which is almost what? Both are positive, right? Both are irrational. Both are positive. And this is the y-intercept. Now, where the interval is increasing and decreasing, how can you know that? You can know from opening up and down. Is it opens up or down? Up. What is the vertex? The vertex, it is 2 and -1. So it is from -infinity to 2, decreasing and increasing from 2 to infinity. Above and below the x-axis. How to, where it is above, where it is below? You need to roughly sketch the graph to make sure about it. What was the vertex? 2 and -1. Here we are, and it opens up. So something like this. Let's say this is 2 and -1. This is -1. This is 2. So these are the 2 x-intercepts. This is 2 plus the square root of 6/2, and the one here it is 2 minus. So it will be above where? From -infinity to the first, the smaller x-intercept, union from the bigger x-intercept to infinity, and it will be below in between. And both are open. Why open, not close here? Because we are talking about above or below, not on. If we close it, it is on. For increasing and decreasing, it doesn't matter, but we usually use it as open. I think we have time to solve this, please. If you can solve this question, by the way, you can go to 3.2. No need to stay in this section. Try to solve this interesting exercise. And tell me what is your answer at the end. You can think loudly, by the way.
We have something obvious.
What is it?
C is equal 8 because the y-intercept is equal to 8. So
This is like for free. Yes. C equals to what?
8.
Y.
Because we substitute every x by 0.
It is f at 0.
Yes.
What is f at 0? 0. 0 C. So f at 0 it is Z, it is C, and the y-intercept from here, the x-intercept is 8. So this means that C is 8. Good, ya Abdullah. Ahsant. C is 8. Good. So we still have we still need to find A and B. Yes.
We can find H.
We can
He said
find
H.
H.
He said only one x-intercept. That means
Abdulaziz bin Ubaid is talking. Yes.
the vertex will be -2 and 0.
-2 and 0. MashaAllah alayh. خلاص, you solve it. It has only one x-intercept. So this means what? That this x-intercept is what? Is the vertex. So from this, and it is in bold, by the way, only one x-intercept. So this means that the vertex H and K, it is -2 and what? And 0, because on the x-axis, this will be -2. The x-intercept is -2. And it opens up or down, we don't know. But we know. Who can tell me? This point is Hassan. Why it is Abi Hassan? Because the y-intercept is what? It is 8. How, if it opens down, how it will intersect the y-axis at 8? So we know also that A is what? Positive. A is positive. So I know now what is H, what is K, what is C. So what I will do next? Who can advise me to continue? What to do? Yes, exactly. The standard form. The standard form, it is A times X minus H all squared plus K. What do we have from this? We don't have A. We don't know what is A. Just I know that A is positive. This is not better than nothing. X minus, what is H? H is -2, so it will be minus, it will be plus 2 all squared. Plus K, what is K? 0. No, K is 0, C is 8. Now, by the way, you don't need even to find C. We will see that C will come by default at the end. Now, what we have, ya shabab, we will use the fact now that f of x is A times X plus 2 all squared. So how to find A? Any suggestion? Again? Use what you have to find what you want. What we have and we didn't use yet. The y-intercept. When X is 0, Y is what? So this means that f at 0 it is 8. A times, this is 0 plus 2 all squared. This means that 8 equals to what? 4A. This means that A is what? And this agree with what we obtained at the beginning, that A is positive. Assume that you got negative, it means that there is something wrong. Now let's go back to the function. Go back here. What you will get? F of x will be equals to 2 times x plus 2 all squared, which is what? 2 times x squared plus 4x plus 4, which is what? 2x squared plus 8x plus 8. Look at C. C is 8. A is 2. B is 8. C is what? What was the question? It is about what? Find the sum of the real coefficients. What is the sum of the real coefficients? It is C. Good question. Do we have a time for another one? No, we don't. But let's, we will solve this next class, but let's think about it. Tell me what you have, what you need to find, and how can you do that? If -3, we didn't finish reading, Mansoor, mashallah. If -3 is a 0 of this quadratic function, which means what? One x-intercept. This is one of the x-intercepts. And its graph has lowest point, -2 and 2. So what is this -2 and 2? H and K. It is the vertex. So you have h and k. If you have h and k, you have everything. What is the other zero of this quadratic equation? You have -3, -2. The distance between them is 1, so you will go to the right. So it is what? -1. Right.
To play with the formulas.
Yes, exactly. And you can also solve it with working with formulas. This is about some applications about the quadratic function. This is from physics, word problem. We have a ball that is throwing up in the air, and its highest, height is h. And the function, the height is given as a function of time. Then the question is, what is the time it will take the ball to reach its maximum height? So what is this about?
Asking about the k.
He's asking about k, which is the value of the function, and it will be after what is the time that you will have. We will solve this next class, inshallah. Not next class, by the way. Next class we will start 3.2, and we will practice after the